The Supreme Court just dropped a 6-3 ruling that every single gun owner in America needs to hear about right now. You're driving home from work. The red and blue lights come on. A cop pulls you over for driving 5 miles over the speed limit. He walks up to your window, takes your license, goes back to his cruiser, and then comes back with a suspicious look on his face. Because instead of just handing you a ticket, he looks at you and says the 4 words that makes your stomach drop. Step out of the vehicle. Now, here's what happens. In the next 60 seconds, you're either going to get back in your car and drive away free, or you're going to hand that officer everything he needs to search you, test you, and maybe even arrest you. And the crazy part, most people don't even realize they're giving all their rights away because there's a massive difference between what you have to do and what the cops want you to do. And very few people know the line that makes the difference. I'm Jeff Hampton, the people's lawyer, and in this video, I'm going to give you the exact words to say to the cop when he stares back at you and says, "Step out of the vehicle." Here's what most people don't understand. When a cop asks you to step out of the car, it's not about your safety. It's about access. Getting you out of that vehicle is the single most important move in their playbook, and I'm going to show you why. The moment you step out, 4 things happen. Number 1, the officer now has a clear line of sight into your entire vehicle. Anything he can see through your window, a bag, a container, something suspicious sitting on the top of your seat now, becomes fair game for him to search under the plain view doctrine. He didn't need a warrant, and he didn't need your permission. You merely standing up and getting out gave him a line of sight he didn't have before. Number 2, now that you're standing outside nervous with cars whizzing by and cops eyeballing you, he may ask you to now perform some field sobriety test because he might think he smells alcohol on your breath. He'll want you to walk a straight line, stand on one leg, follow a pin with your eyes, and most people just follow along and do it because they think they have to. Number 3, even if you pass those field sobriety tests, the officer will now say that he needs to do a quick pat-down of you for officer safety's sake. This is known as a Terry frisk. And once his hands are on you, he's feeling you up for a lot more than weapons. And finally, number 4, and this is the big one, he's planning on you to start talking. Cops know this. Once you're standing outside uncomfortable and anxious, they know most people start running their mouth. "Officer, I didn't do anything wrong. I'm just coming from a friend's house. I mean that odor. Maybe I just had 1 drink hours ago. I swear I'm fine, officer." Every single one of your statements is evidence. And not only is the officer recording it, he could choose to misinterpret it or manipulate it to mean something you never meant. So here's where people go wrong. The first person, they panic and they just do everything the officer says. Step out? Sure. Walk a line? Absolutely. Search my car. Go right ahead. They think cooperating will get them home faster, but it won't. The second person refuses everything. "I'm not getting out of my car, and I don't have to. You can't make me do anything. I know my rights." And now the officer writes down, "Suspect was aggressive, confrontational, and uncooperative." These all go straight into the police report. And if you say it's strong enough and fast enough, sometimes the officers might claim you made furtive movements or acted in a way that was suspicious enough that now maybe they can perform a search without your consent. But think about this from the officer's perspective. He does this every single day. It's routine for him. He's trained to get you out of the car because a standing person is easier to observe, easier to test, easier to search, and definitely easier to arrest. He knows that once you're out and on your feet, your nerves will definitely kick in. The talking starts, and once the talking starts, the case builds itself. He's not going to tell you that everything you say is going to be used against you. In fact, he'll probably be very friendly with you and want to spur more conversation because he doesn't want to make you aware that your mistakes will help him do what he wants to do, which is to keep you outside and ultimately get you in the back of his patrol car. Now, here's the part nobody tells you. Under the Supreme Court case of Pennsylvania versus Mims, a police officer can order you out of the car as long as he's performing a lawful traffic stop. Why? Because the court said the officer's safety interests outweigh your constitutional rights inside your vehicle. And a few years later, the Supreme Court extended this ruling to allow cops to pull out passengers of your car also. So, let me be crystal clear. You do have to get out of the car if the cops demand it. It's settled law. But here's what most people now get completely wrong. They think stepping out means giving up. They think that now they're standing on the side of the road. They have to basically do whatever the cops say. That is not true. Stepping out of your vehicle never gives cops consent to search your vehicle. You certainly don't have to answer questions, and you never have to perform field sobriety tests. Your constitutional rights don't disappear just because your feet have to hit the pavement. And here's the other thing, because nobody talks about this. Under Terry versus Ohio, an officer can only perform that pat-down search if he has a reasonable, articulable suspicion that you are armed and dangerous. He can't just pat you down because you're standing there or because he wants to. He must have a specific reason to believe you have a weapon. But now you're in an impossible position. You have to step out of your car because the law requires it. But you don't have to talk. You don't have to consent to a search. You certainly don't have to blow into a breathalyzer. The problem is that nobody knows exactly what to say in this moment. How do you comply with the law while making it crystal clear you're standing up for your rights? Here are the exact words you use. Memorize them. Officer, I'm stepping out as you've requested. I do not consent to any searches. Am I free to go or am I being detained? That's it. And let me break down why every part of what I just said works. I'm stepping out as you've requested. This shows you are clearly complying with the law. No argument, no resistance, and the cop cannot write down that you were uncooperative or acting weird that would allow him to do more. I'm stepping out as you've requested. I do not consent to any searches. This is critical. You're drawing the line clearly, and you're putting it on camera. If the officer searches you or your vehicle after you've said this, and he doesn't have very clear probable cause to do so, everything that he gathers can be thrown out in court. I'm stepping out as you've requested. I do not consent to any searches. Am I free to go or am I being detained? These magic words force the officer's hand. He now has to make a choice. If you're free to go, the stop is over. If you're being detained, he's going to now have to articulate why. Either way, you've put the legal burden back on him. But what do you do when the officer pushes back because you know he will? If the officer looks at you and says, "Okay, man, look, I'm going to let you go, but only if you perform these tests real quick." This is when you look back at him and say, "Officer, I exercise my right to decline field sobriety tests." That's it. Remember, field sobriety tests are always voluntary, and you can be stone cold, sober, and still fail these tests. And if the officer says, "Hey buddy, if you've got nothing to hide, why won't you let me quickly search your car and I'll let you get on down the road?" Here's your answer. "Officer, I'm exercising my constitutional rights. That's not evidence of anything." Those words are legally bulletproof. The exercising of your constitutional rights can never be used against you in court. Every court in our country has been crystal clear about this. But what if the officer ignores your rights and pats you down anyway, or decides to rip apart your car and search it without probable cause? In that situation, do not fall for the trap of resisting or raising your voice or raising your hand to that officer, because that's the trap he's setting, hoping you give him a reason to actually arrest you for resisting arrest. Instead, reiterate that you do not consent to a search of you or your vehicle, and then stay quiet. Your fight is never on the roadside. It's almost always in the courtroom or in a civil rights court, where you may be able to bring a cause of action against that officer. Those are the exact words, the exact framework. Understanding the law, recognizing the officer's trap, knowing what to say, and when to say it. This is what makes the difference between those who drive away free or those who are held on the side of the road and maybe their car is torn up or they end up in jail. But wait. What if instead of asking you to step out of the car, the officer leans into your window and says, "Snorts? I think I smell alcohol." Check out this next video where I break down the exact words you can use to stop cops when they claim they smell alcohol. See you over there.